What's up, my comic comrades? We've posted several polls on our community page here on the Variant YouTube channel to see which X-Men characters you all most want to see episodes on. And Bishop easily won the last poll over Morph, Forge, and Jubilee. So today, we're breaking down what this futuristic energy-absorbing mutant is all about. Okay, Bishop was created by Whilce Portacio and John Byrne and first appeared in the Uncanny X-Men 282 in 1991. Bishop's full name is Lucas Bishop, and much like Cable, he's a mutant from the future, the 22nd century to be exact. He would eventually travel to the past and join the X-Men and even
Is there like a comic series? Oh my god, this is a question I hope someone could answer. Is there like a comic series where they like dedicated to where Bishop is from during his time there and the mutants that are there? Because that would be intriguing. I'm talking like this is new stories, but they're probably already written. But God, I want to read this. Because that would be interesting. Where Bishop come from, Cable come from, the adventures they have in the present time. So I know the X-Men sometimes do go there, but like just fully following them during that time would be interesting.
Offshoot team like the Uncanny X-Force. Bishop also has the distinction of being the first black male member of the X-Men. But where did his journey all begin? What is his origin? Well, although Bishop first appeared in Uncanny X-Men 282, we wouldn't get his detailed origin until 5 years later in 1996's Xavier Security Enforcers issue 2. This would later be expanded upon in the X-Men The Times and Life of Lucas Bishop 3-issue miniseries. But let's start with Xavier Security Enforcers issue 2 first. At the beginning of issue 2, we see a young Bishop and his sister being attacked by a horde of M-Plate, mutant vampires that feed on the bone marrow of other mutants. They have just killed the adults leading this class of XSE cadets and start to go after the children, as Bishop and the other cadets realize they're in over their heads. So right out of the gate, we find out that a young Bishop is a cadet along with his sister for the XSC, Xavier Security Enforcers, essentially a group of mutants trying to carry on Charles Xavier's and the X-Men's legacy in the future. We see one of these M-Plates holding Bishop's sister Shard in the air as she yells, "Bishop!" The M-Plate asks, "Bishop! And who is Bishop, little morsel? Father, brother, deity? It doesn't matter. No one could help you now, and you're too young to help yourself." As his sister screams, "Bishop, it hurts. Stop hurting me." A caption says, "A mutant's special talent generally emerges with the onset of puberty, triggered by stress." Shard's under a lot of stress, so her talent manifests a little early as we see her release pink energy everywhere. Another caption says, "Fortunately for her brother, his talent is to absorb, amplify, and redirect energy. This keeps him from being fried alive." But now that Bishop has absorbed the energy from his sister, he fires it at the M-Plate saying, "Everybody back into a tight circle, back to back." That only bought us a second or two. We've got to group together if we're going to survive, and I used up my charge. Shirley asked Bishop, "What do we do? We can't hold them off by ourselves." Bishop, being the leader personality that he is, says, "We use what we've got, Shirley. You're the best shot on the practice field. Catch," as he throws her a gun. The cadets do their best to try to hold them off, but soon they become overwhelmed, with Bishop saying, "Make every shot count. We need more time until help gets here." His fellow cadet says, "But what if they don't come?" But on the next page, we see they do. A caption then tells us the fallen were their comrades, and the children are their cadets. Most of all, this is the reason the Xavier Security Enforcers, the XSE, were formed. Many had fought in the Summers Rebellion when humans and mutants alike joined together to overthrow the hated Sentinels that held everything in check. When after the rebellion was won, tensions between humans and mutants threatened the hard-won peace, so the XSE was formed. This is an organization whose mission is to keep alive the dream of Professor Charles Xavier. The dream of a world where humans and mutants could live together in peaceful coexistence. To that end, they have pledged their very lives. The battle is brief, intense, and final. As help arrives, one of the adult XSE officers says, "Bishop, you did good. You saved the kids in your class." 1 month later, a special ceremony is held honoring the dead and the living. The presenter says, "We commend the work of Shirley, Baylor, and Shard, but it is you, Bishop, that the primary credit goes to for rescuing your classmates. Today you become the youngest cadet ever to be invested as an officer in the XSE. This is not a reward, however. The deaths of our beloved comrades, Sure Shot and Trace, underscore the need for competent officers in the field. Your knowledge of the street is sorely needed there. Take then the shield of office. It is the symbol of the legendary X-Men, of the dream they incarnated."
But how could this be done? Like, if this is like an XFC, it sounds like it's a government program. Like, how legally could they make a kid make him an officer? And like, also, you know, his sister was involved and their friends were involved. Now he had leadership qualities. If you're gonna do this, why not make them a whole tactical unit at the same time and just upgrade them to officers if you're just handing out freaking assignments?
promise of what may be. Wear it with honor or not at all. From here, Bishop would become one of the best members of the XSC, eventually traveling back to the past where he would meet and join the X-Men, but more on that later. Years later, in 2009, we would get X-Men: The Times and Life of Lucas Bishop, a 3-issue miniseries, which I briefly mentioned earlier. It expanded his origin and changed it up a little bit, but for the most part, it fleshed out Bishop's life before he became a cadet for the XSE. In issue 1 of the series, we see Burnham, Bishop's dad, come running in, waking up his wife saying, "We have to go. If I explain, it will be too late. Please, Katie." We find out he's in such a hurry to get them out of there because he's picked up on chatter on a high-level security band that in less than 90 minutes there's going to be a tactical nuclear explosion right where they're standing. Captions from Bishop then say, "Burnham and Katie Bishop made it out on the last flight before the first missile. They were my parents. My life from the very beginning has been ruled by luck and horror. Yeah, I'm lucky to be alive, but I was born into a world of horror." 37 hours later, Bishop's parents end up at an immigrant processing center with captions saying, "My parents try to keep a low profile, but by this time, America has a firm no mutants welcome policy." At the immigration processing center, they're detected by Sentinels and are immediately captured and put on trial, which lasted 3 seconds. They were sent to a mutant internment camp in Sheepshead Bay, notorious for being unsanitary, overcrowded, and a place for illegal experimentation on mutants. Bishop
Gosh, man, I love the X-Men and the mutant story so much. Don't tell me like a Star Wars, the Clone Wars series type animated series wouldn't do well with. We have the X-Men 97, which is a masterpiece. But the point of the X-Men, like in the future, seeing the full Sentinel War, how that goes. Don't tell me that wouldn't do well. Or maybe I'm just pitching a future series. I just want X-Men stories at this point. I love the 90s. I love the Sentinel X-Men stories so much. Gosh, how much suffering they went through and how X-Men are just legends and how much people can be so hurtful, but at the same time can be so amazing. Oh, and that I'm just thinking of that live action series as well, The Gifted. Oh, that was so good and was so undeservedly cancelled before it freaking really took a life. So many characters were introduced there that were never even seen in X-Men. Oh, I just love this. I love doing it. I love us recording, watching these videos. I'm such a nerd.
Bishop continues narrating, saying, "I would come to know it as something else, home." 7 months later, his mother would give birth to Bishop at the camp. Bishop then continues narrating as we see his birth, with him saying, "Most people don't remember anything before the age of 2 or 3. Maybe I'm imagining it, but I swear I have memories from the second after I was born. I remember fighting. My parents fought too. They were supposedly happy once, but I never saw any evidence of that. My mother spent much of her time away from us with other mutants in the camp. Apparently, she could put up a mental force field as well as a physical one. My father mostly cared for me. He didn't say much, but he used to hold me close to him. I remember the tight muscles of his chest, the way he smelled, how safe it felt in his arms. By the time I turned 3, we had 2 new members of the family, my little sister Shard and my grandmother, who I'd never met. She had been in another camp and heard about us being here. She'd worked out a transfer. I was too young to ask how. Long story short, they would eventually start doing experiments on mutants at this camp, including Bishop's mother, destroying the right side of her face. Eventually, it was Bishop's turn, and they branded the right side of his face, etching an M over his eye. If you ever wondered how he got that scar on his right eye, that's how. They branded it on him to let everyone know that he was a mutant. Soon after this, the Summers Rebellion would happen, where mutants would fight back. During the fight, Bishop's father would be killed and turned to dust. Bishop was able to escape, making his way to Manhattan, eventually meeting someone called the Witness, or LeBeau, who some people believe is an older version of Gambit. But ultimately, Bishop would reunite with his grandmother, and when he was older, he would become a cadet for the XSE. This brings his origin full circle with his previous one. There are several changes here and there, but overall they tell the same story, with the latter fleshing it out more. So now it's time to move on to story arcs and publication history.